And the next candidate for the 6th District is Kasey Helton, a Democrat.
Here we go. Okay. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Chamber. And thank you to everyone here who has hung out with us until this late hour. My name is Kasey Helton, and I'm running as a Democratic candidate for the Livingston County Board of Commissioners seat in District 6. I was a news reporter for the Pinckney Express, a weekly publication that became part of the Daily Press in Argus. And I actually spent a lot of time in this very room during that time because I covered Hamburg Township in addition to the village of Pinckney and Pinckney Community Schools. So this was one of my beats. Today, I serve patients and families as an intake clerk for the Pediatric Cardiothoracic ICU at C.S. Mott Children's Hospital. I've been there about 10 years. But lately, what I'm probably best known for is my willingness as a newcomer to take on an established political figure like my opponent, who I'm disappointed is not here tonight. I grew up in Marion Township. My mother, Sandy Everly, passed away in 2015, and my father, Rick, who is here tonight, still lives in the home where I grew up. He is a veteran. He's enlisted in the Navy in Vietnam. I graduated Howell High School in 1995, and after attending Eastern Michigan University, I moved back here and later met my husband, Jim, who is also here tonight, the beard guy. He's a union steelworker, and he is also a U.S. Navy veteran who served in wartime. We have a rescue dog named Obi, and we live in Marion Township. We own a home out there about 10 minutes from my dad. I'm in this race because of people like the grandmother that I met canvassing in a very nice, quiet subdivision in Hamburg Township recently. When I said to her that Livingston County has the 4th highest rate of drug overdose deaths in the state, and there are too many grandparents raising grandchildren in Livingston County because of a lack of services here for addicted people, she looked me in the eye, and as she did, her young grandson peeked from around her hips, and she put her arm around him, and she looked at me sadly, and she said, "I know." And it took my breath away because it made me realize, it hit me like a ton of bricks, something I already knew, but in looking at her at that moment, I understood. This is a problem that goes from house to house to house in this community, and we are turning a blind eye to it here in Livingston County, and it starts with our public officials. I'm in this race because Livingston County has the highest percentage of poorly rated roads in Southeast Michigan, 51%, higher even than Wayne County, which shocks many people in my canvassing activities, I can assure you. That's a 35% increase from 2008. And these roads are going to continue to be a greater threat to economic prosperity and to public safety in our community as long as there is no solid plan for fixing that problem and our leaders refuse to act. Our county commission is responsible for these roads, yet they have no solid plan for fixing the massive problem that this is, even as they sit on $42 million in idle funds, separate from the general fund, separate from the rainy day fund. Instead, they wait for townships to pass special millages to address a problem that they don't really want to deal with. That is imbalanced to townships and unfair, and I think Hamburg Township knows something about that because they have one of those road millages. I want to use a $10 million portion of that idle funding, known as the Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund, to invest $5 million in the Road Commission's top priorities, as well as help our townships and municipalities address the projects that they feel are most urgent to them in the form of a $5 million matching grant fund. That is an actual roads plan. This inaction on the part of my opponent and the rest of the county commission on roads, on a lack of investment in services to address our opioid crisis, on issues like the ET Rover pipeline in Putnam Township and Marion Township, and the inattention, the to PFAS. I called on my opponent to challenge our state representatives, to push them to shut off the effluent that was coming from the source of this contamination in Wixom, and he ignored me. These sorts of things, that really comes down to being out of touch with the real priorities of our community. Here's some things I want you to consider as an audience. The median age in Livingston County is 42. I'm 41. Yet the youngest member of the county board is well into his 50s. Women make up 49.9% of the community, but we don't even make up 30% of the county board. None of the board members are commuters, despite the fact that the rest of Livingston County, upwards of 76%, do commute. I commute. My husband commutes. I'm sure we all either know a commuter or are a commuter. Thank you so much for your vote. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I didn't mean to go over.
That's the 6th district.